Hey guys, it's DC here. Today I have Trevor, who is the Vice President of Product Marketing and Management at Exabeam, and I'm going to ask him a couple of questions regarding cybersecurity salaries, the work-life balance, and just some general questions that you guys have asked me to ask him. So Trevor, how's it going?
Great, thanks. Great to be talking with you.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Just tell me a little bit about Exabeam so that the guys here can sort of search you and find out more if they want.
Yeah, Exabeam is a security management company. We've been around for 5 years, based in Silicon Valley here in California. And what we provide our customers with is a way uh, to conduct security operations uh, more efficiently. And we do that by providing three things that I think are really important. One is user-based pricing. So, uh, unlike a lot of the existing legacy SIMs that charge by volume, we charge by the number of users people have, which makes uh, uh, the cost very predictable.
Yeah.
Another thing that we offer and that we're really well known for is our user and entity-based analytics, which helps companies with improving detection, especially for insider threats and compromised credentials. And then third, a lot of automation around detection, investigation, and response. And we recently did a survey that showed that we actually help security teams do their security tasks of detection, investigation, response about 51% faster than other SIMs. And so,
Nice.
yeah, some great results there in terms of operational efficiency.
Yeah, cool. So just for those of you who don't know what a SIM is, it's I think it stands for Security Information Event Management. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, and it's basically there to help you go through all of the noise of security logs and any automation tasks that you have in a very quick nutshell, I guess. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong though, Trevor. If there's, I'm sure there's more to it than that, but especially from what you just said there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
security incident and event management. It's about a $5 billion kind of industry that is with technology predominantly used by security operations centers or
yeah,
security operations teams.
that's it. Yeah, cool. Okay, so on to the questions. I'll start with the highest user asked question here, which was um, someone who's in IT at the moment. They want to get into cybersecurity. What is the easiest way for them to transition into a cybersecurity role?
Yeah, we see people coming into cybersecurity from different paths for sure. It's a very fast growing industry right now. It pays well. And so there's a lot of interest for folks to come in.
For sure. Yeah.
Um, I think over the last decade, a lot of learning institutions, colleges, universities have created um, security courses or included more cybersecurity classwork as part of a computer science degree or engineering degrees, or IT administration um, certificates. So I think that is definitely an opportunity that wasn't there 10 years ago. Um, Another way that we see a lot of people coming in is through working in more traditional IT jobs. They get very familiar with all of the systems and the environment,
Yeah.
and it's a fairly straightforward move over to the security side of the house because of that familiarity with all the systems, especially as an engineer.
For
On the
sure.
analyst side, one of the things that we see is people moving in from kind of adjacent spaces. There are a lot of people with military background in cybersecurity. And I think if you think through the role of taking a defensive posture, looking for attackers, thinking through the threat environment and the way that people might try and penetrate your defenses, there's a lot in common with that mindset. And so
Definitely. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not a big surprise for a lot of those folks here.
For sure. Yeah. It's I've actually seen a lot of people asking me in the comment section of the YouTube channel there saying that they're coming from a military background and that they want to sort of transition over into cybersecurity and get away from a less, I guess, labor-intensive physical security role.
Yep.
And yeah, certainly some of those clearances that they currently have definitely help them out getting a job in cybersecurity, especially within government if they need any sort of clearance. There you can sort of transition sometimes, but depending on where you're going, I guess, is what the requirements are. So yeah, it's an interesting one for, I guess, defense personnel, like you were saying. But for everyone else, I guess there's sort of a set of certifications that a lot of people focus on to move from, I guess, like a system admin role into cybersecurity. So I guess that's sort of what the question was more about, is like what sort of transition certifications or experience is usually required.
Yeah, so as you point out, there's a number of different certifications out there. I think one of the more common ones is a CISSP certification. There's a number of different bodies out there. SANS, S-A-N-S, is one organization that definitely provides a lot of training to the industry, both for people looking to break into it and people that are already in the industry. And I think that folks will also find, if they search for cybersecurity training, that there's a number of other kind of established organizations out there that do provide a lot of that training for folks to learn more about the different processes and tools that are used in cybersecurity.
Yeah, I saw in that report, in your guys' report, that the CISSP was at 34% of people who said they had a certification outside of their degree. That was the most common one to go for. So it's certainly way up there, closely followed by some of the CompTIA ones and a CEH, which I would believe from the name anyway that it's focused more on ethical hacking rather than a defensive posture. But yeah, still a great certification to have, I guess. So yeah, CISSP is apparently the one to go for. Okay, next question was, what kind of salary should be expected in the US for an entry-level position?
Yeah, so I think good salaries is kind of the short answer. The industry definitely pays well. I think that's one of the attractive points.
Definitely one of the biggest draw cards, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the second, part to the answer is that it does vary by region, by industry, location that people are at, and I think often, 75,000 to 100,000 per year is common for folks that are working in, kind of individual contributor analyst roles in the industry.
Cool. So 75 to 100,000 US for an entry-level position.
Yeah, that's what we see as kind of the average median salary for both men and women that are joining in the industry.
Right, okay. And I guess I did read in that report as well that there is a bit of a gap on gender there, where it's pretty much mostly guys compared to, like it was 90 to 95%, I can't remember exactly, compared to the sort of shorter percentage of women in the industry. But I believe that's sort of changing. I've seen a bit of a change more recently than, say, like 5 years ago when I sort of first started in cybersecurity. It was pretty much all guys. But I think things are sort of changing and shifting a little bit, which is good to, more, women getting into it and, moving up through the ranks. It's good to see.
Yeah, I think there's been some change, but we have a long ways to go, and I think it's on all of us to try and encourage a little more diversity, a little more balance within our industry. We've done our salary survey for 2 years now, and we really didn't see much change kind of year on year. We looked at security analysts in US, UK, Canada, India, Australia, and the Netherlands. Last year it was 91% of the respondents were male, and the year before it was 90. So it actually trended in the wrong direction by 1%.
Yeah.
So they're I was just listening to the CISO of Rubrik speaking this morning, and she was commenting about how when she came up through her classes, in most cases she was the only woman in those classes, and again in many of the work environments that she's been in, and I think that's true for many women who work in the space. There's definitely a lot of different programs, events, right, to get women together who are kind of birds of a feather here working in cybersecurity, so they can learn from each other, mentor from each other, and kind of get motivated by the fact that they are other people that of the same gender who are in this space, and more of that obviously needs to happen for us to reflect the broader workforce, where I think in the United States, for the first time in quite a while, the number of women working actually slightly outnumbers the number of men. Um,
Wow.
and cybersecurity obviously doesn't reflect that yet.
Not yet. Yeah. Hopefully soon. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question was: is there a skills shortage, and is it mostly at the sort of top level of positions within cybersecurity?
Yeah, there's definitely a skills shortage. I think the industry is quite famous for having it, where there are upwards of 2 million kind of open jobs. In my conversations with various companies, and I do get a chance to talk to a lot of them fairly frequently, it really varies company by company. But in general, security leaders feel like they're lucky if they have a fully staffed and high-performing team.
Yeah.
And I think that they are seeing gaps across all levels of their organization. And they're looking at different strategies to fill those positions. So one, for example, is that they are looking to their IT brethren to see if they can entice them to come over to cybersecurity, fill some roles.
Yep.
They are also working closely with universities and colleges to start up internship programs to see if they can build a pipeline of candidates for the roles in their organization. And
Yep.
I think there's also a recognition that they need to have better tools and training in place as they bring people in, to get them to be productive faster. One thing in particular is if they're located in kind of a second tier city, and in terms of size,
Yep.
or more remote locations, there's more of a willingness to hire employees remotely who might be in kind of more university-oriented towns, or locations where there is a bigger kind of preponderance of IT and security folks. So just some of the ways people are looking to kind of address this shortage, but for sure it exists.
Right, and it's not just sort of top level; it's sort of across the board, you'd say, of positions.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And one other thing I didn't touch on was for some of the lower level positions, there is an increasing amount of automation built into different tools that is allowing organizations to take some of those repetitive, or some might see them as mundane tasks, and have their software tools conducting those tasks, so that they can have people. One CISO just told me they can have human minds working on human problems, and so the job becomes a bit more enticing at that lower level, because the people coming in will know that they're working on more interesting problems. So there's a lot of kind of creative solutions that folks have to fill that. But to answer your question directly, yeah, from the security leaders I've talked to, they often have openings from their most junior kind of triage, tier one analysts, all the way up to security architects and leaders of their security operations teams.
Yeah, sure. And yeah, I see that as well. I see in Australia, I guess things are a little bit different. So it definitely changes by region, but yeah, I think most of the viewers of this video are in the US anyways. So it's it's good to know sort of what's happening across the world, and that there is still a shortage. So all those people studying who are getting concerned that, when they finish studying, that there's not going to be a job for them. There probably is, and it's likely to be a very well paid job, especially for an entry level position. Just onto the last question, and it's around automation and AI. And it's basically, do you see a threat of people potentially losing their jobs in the next 5 years due to AI and automation? Or do you see automation as something that's going to sort of make people's lives easier? I know what my answer is for this from using certain products and just sort of seeing the change of, I guess, automation through IT over the last few years. But I'm keen to hear your input on AI and automation in relation to job security.
Yeah, so definitely like a many layered kind of question when you think about the impact here.
Yeah.
I think, the place that I start is, let's think a little bit about why there is AI and automation in cybersecurity. And going back to the salary report and the study that we did, there were two kind of interesting data points that I think help inform this. One was asking people how stressful their job was. There's a reason they're getting paid well, right? About 60% of folks say their job is stressful or very stressful. And then kind of asking an opposite question like, hey, what do you like most about your job? People said it was the challenging work environment. So, if you can get that balance right, then this becomes a very attractive career for folks, and they tend to stay in it for a long time. And so I think automation definitely solves some of that by making the work more meaningful. When I talk to people about what they think the impact of machine learning automation is going to be on their jobs, I find the perspective that people have is really diverse. I have noticed some correlation with the industries they're in. So if somebody's coming from an industry where technology in general has helped that industry, so think of something like a lot of manufacturing, where people work alongside robots and very successfully have figured out how to partner. There tends to be a lot more support by the security team, even if they're not out on the shop floor. And for example, other industries, not as positive about the potential impact here on their job. But to me, talking to our customers, where we have in our product automation and we use machine learning, and I talk to them about what that's going to do to their workforce. I talk to them after they've deployed and used us for a year or two. And universally, they have come back and said to a person that our technology has not led to any layoffs in their organization. What it has meant for them is varied. For many organizations, it means they can, as I was talking about earlier, they can have the software take care of reducing false positives, prioritizing alerts, reducing the amount of time it takes to do investigations or respond to incidents. So it helps them be more productive.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
The other
I find that to be the same as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other interesting answer that I get back is it's allowed them to delay hiring. So we mentioned the shortage. So even if they have gaps in their organization, they're able to take their time and find the right person or actually postpone hiring because of the assistance of some of these tools. So I think it's generally had a very positive impact in the cybersecurity space. I think a lot of people look back and are like, why were we doing all this manual work?
Exactly. And like going back, there was a lot more manual work than there was today. And it wasn't, well, I'm not a massive fan of reading through like pages and pages of logs. So I guess automation in that particular space has made my life so much easier. It's I never want to look through logs again. I just want to filter it all out and make my life as easy as possible and basically just automate a report at the end. It's much more worthwhile for someone like me in that sort of position than having to trawl through millions, if not more, logs and try and find the bits that I actually want. It's I know that's like a really basic example of just like filtering, right? But
I think it's a good example.
it's probably it's probably one of the most common.
That is what a lot of people face when they're going through and having to look at the different alerts and events that are coming into their environment, and why we talk so much about alert fatigue in particular.
That's exactly it. Cool. Okay, well, that's all of the questions I had here for you today. Thanks for coming on, Trevor. It's been great talking to you. For anyone who wants to have a look at the report that I was referring to a couple of times, I'll leave a link in the description to that report. If you want to check out Exabeam, you can check them on Exabeam, which is EXABEAM.com.